after I got kicked out of the DNC, as you guys know, not fully kicked out, but kicked out of but politely kicked, I made the smart move. I made the right choice to literally fucking evacuate the premises so I could just before it got super chaotic, I could get back home and I could do my live reacts from the comfort of my hotel room, which is literally why I got that hotel room to begin with as backup. Because I never thought that I would even get this level of access. So I have a lot of thoughts on this. I'm going to talk a lot about this. Okay. I noticed your rhetoric got way the fuck more radical as soon as it happened too, which was sick. Wait, what? My rhetoric got way more radical as soon as I left? Dog, I literally was pushed away because of what I was doing that was considered radical, which is wearing a Palestinian flag on my waist, talking to Palestinian Americans, including Cori Bush as well, outside of the DNC United Convention Center. I never stopped advocating for the same things that I was advocating for inside of the DNC, outside of the DNC. That never changed. Okay. Was that confirmed? There's just whispers. Okay. It's not like they're not going to release an official statement, but just know that when there's a situation like that unfolding, there's a million different people that are in communications. And of course, some people are going to be frustrated by what they see, especially because if there's divisions. Remember when I told you about how there's some divisions between what the Kamala Harris campaign wanted versus what the DNC wanted? Well, the boss call came from the DNC side, I think, who is not exactly fond of me, which apparently they're not fond of anyone really. So that's not shocking. They are fond of APAC. I rewatched the stream yesterday after you left, and the way the lady acted after the guy with the vest came to say something to you was sus as fuck. It seems he wanted to help you get a spot and she shot him down. No, all the people that I was working with were fine. They're fine. They're great. They're doing their best. They're doing their jobs. Okay, everybody calm down. I don't want you fucking talking shit about anybody that you saw on camera. They were all wonderful people. They were all they were not only wonderful people, but they were also they put up with my ass. Okay. I don't think my asks were all that crazy. I've given these asks ahead of time, obviously. Why would they think of you as an agitator? Charlie Kirk, Matt Walsh, Michael Pillow, Fox News. What about them? I'm going to tell you guys all of this. Okay. I was polite to every single person across the board, always. Even after I got kicked out, I was still polite. Even after I got kicked out, I'm still polite right now. Okay. Not only that, but also on top of that, that is a really dynamic environment. We're trying to do we're trying to cut content. We're trying to do 8 hours of fucking nonstop coverage in a very dynamic environment with people who are not fully familiar with the back end stuff, with the logistics of doing such a thing. Okay. And all things considered, they were pretty helpful overall. But I don't think you guys understand the lift it requires to be able to put something like that together in a situation like that. If I'm the equivalent of a Jake Tapper type person, right, doing commentary, and also on top of that, a Donnie O'Sullivan type person as well, roaming around, asking people questions, roaming the halls of Congress, or not halls of Congress, sorry, halls of the DNC. My first time ever on top of that. You have to understand. You have to understand something. That is not a thing that anyone else does. It's never one person. What we were able to do in 4 days, me and March, what we were able to do, and sometimes my manager on the back end too, were able to do, is something that hundreds of people that spend millions of dollars to be able to achieve. You understand that? It is an unimaginable feat. Okay. It was an unimaginable feat, in my opinion. It was incredible. March pulled through. He's the GOAT. Okay. You on your end, you just watch a seamless stream. Sometimes it Fs, sometimes there's audio issues. whatever. But on the back end, there is so much work that goes into it. So much work that goes into it, like lugging that shit around all over the place, you know? Trying to figure out a fucking area, trying to communicate what we need in terms of how we can fucking put that shit together. Because like even the 8-hour streaming process, like even the fact that I just sit there and stream for 8 hours, like that alone is like it can be arduous, right? It can be mentally taxing, physically taxing, right? But beyond that, now try doing that in a dynamic environment where like things are changing regularly. Okay? Like that shit is like a full news team with producers, but instead we're just operating. We're just randomly fucking, putting this stuff together. No way you were a diva. Your coverage was great, even a few Israel daily stun logs, but I wonder if other content creators were also kicked for Palestine coverage too. Harrison's a total piece of shit and anti-Palestine, so no surprise. Lots of rumors of him and Harris camp beefed on day 4 a lot. Yeah, I think that is what is going on. I suspect that was a part of it. The reason why I got clapped, the reason why I got booted wasn't because I was yelling and baby raging. The reason why we got booted was because I did not compromise on my values. Are you sure you weren't just kicked out to give that prime spot to a big name? No. Because that prime spot was, I'm almost certain that prime spot was literally owned by a dude, like owned by a donor who was there, who was a fan. So it was not like no one else was, you didn't find it suspicious that no one else left that area? Just me? All the other people that were in that room still? Yeah, they didn't make anyone else evacuate that area. Just me. Come on, chat. Like there are some things I can say and some things I can't openly communicate to you. Okay. Overall, I'll say it like this. Okay. The DNC and the Kamala campaign knew what my background was, knew what I would talk about. They knew that I was not going to, engage in any sort of editorial control in terms of like censoring myself. If I see something, I'm going to say something, right? Obviously, we started off the week strong. The first day, they just like were completely oblivious to what I do, kind of like in terms of what was necessary, like what kind of needs I had to be able to like conduct these live streams, right? So they were like, okay, well, I knew that wasn't going to work the first day. So I just like started off in the hotel. Then I went to the Palestinian protests. Then we went into the DNC. We did walk and talk. We roamed around in the DNC first day. It was fun, right? Great stuff. Second day, they were like, no, we have access for you. We got a room for you. And I was like, listen, it's not just a room. I need a desk and I need an Ethernet cable. That's it, right? Second day, we started off with a Donny interview. Donny actually drove us in. CNN drove us into the fucking DNC. It was sick, right? We rolled in. We set the shit up. We started. We let it rip. You already know what happened when we let it rip that day. The Obama spoke. Third day, Wednesday. Third day of the DNC, I had to leave early. And literally as I was leaving early, they had an even nicer area for me, as you guys know. Now, the entire time I'm telling them, by the way, like, it's okay if I don't have space. I'll just, stream from the hotel. If I have interviews or whatever, I'll come over to the DNC. I'll conduct my interviews and I'll fuck off. I'll go back to my hotel, right? If I want to do my desktop stream. So they were like, no. It's better if you're here. It's better if you're inside of the DNC, which makes sense. Like, I'm a fucking, I'm there as an influencer, right? So they wanted me to be there. So I was like, fine, I'll take it. As long as they have space for me, I'll take it, right? So we did it the second day. Ironically, of course, sadly, third day when I was leaving the DNC to go do the Chapo Truanon podcast, it was fucking hilarious because that was the day when Ilhan Omar's team, Sean Fain's team, and AOC's team, all three of them sent me communications being like, oh, we're here now. We can do the interviews now. And that day I wasn't kicked out. So like I could have technically, if I didn't do the Chapo Truanon podcast, I could have done all of my interviews that day. I could have gotten those out of the fucking way, right? But it is what it is. I'm not upset about it. You know, I love those boys. I'm always gonna fucking roll with them. So I did the pod, live audience. It was great. One of you guys actually gave me fucking fat stack of Sixers on the Zin. So shouts out to that HasanAbi head. That was one thing. And then the last day, they're like, no, you got the same space from 2:30 all the way to the end. And I'm like, are you guys sure? It's a big day. Are you guys sure? It's a big day. I understand if there's limitations, like I'll just, you know, do my thing. I'll do my thing and I'll fucking go back to my hotel room. And they're like, no, you have the space. You have the space. You have the balcony. It's uninterrupted the entire day. Unlike the day before when the fucking Warren staffer came in and was like, you need to get the fuck out. You know, it was like chirping at me. They were like, no, this time you have it fully, right? I was like, okay, sure. That's great. We start off roaming. Okay. We start off roaming with March. We go to the uncommitted campaign, the uncommitted delegates. Remember, these are Democratic Party operatives that are from all around the country. They represent hundreds of thousands of Democratic Party voters that participated in the primary that said, we are uncommitted because of the actions that the Democratic Party is engaging in terms of Israel, okay? In terms of like what they're doing with their unconditional support to Israel. Did you actually get kicked out or is it thumbnail bait? No, I mean, I didn't get fully kicked out. So here's the thing, okay? There are different levels of credentials inside of the Democratic Party. That area that we were at is the lower level suites, right? That is that area that I was at when I was doing this interview with the New York Times, was at the lower level suites. This is the same exact level that like CNN is on. It's the same exact level that like MSNBC is on. When you see like Jake Tapper and whatever, like sitting in front of that podium, in front of that stage, like they are literally, they're on the same level. They gave me the balcony on the same exact level, which is insane access. Okay. And at that point I was thinking like, honestly, like, I mean, those are like, yeah, those are $500,000. Like people pay $500,000 to get those suites. The fact that I had the access to that level to like show you this background at all, I'm happy. Like I was going to take anything they were giving me, right? Anything and everything that they were giving me, I was taking. Yeah, Chris Cuomo said those suites cost millions of dollars. Someone at the DNC probably said, why the fuck are we giving this guy this great suite who's shitting on us the entire time? Yeah, I know. So they didn't obviously like say, fuck off, you're done. We're revoking your access completely. You need to leave the premises. They didn't do that because that would have been a much larger, I think, much like that would have been a little silly for them to do. But they basically made it so that like, you know, they made it as impossible to stream for me as possible by coming in and saying randomly, you know, out of nowhere, coming in and informing me that I had to leave immediately. Like they were like, you have to clear out immediately. That's what they said. And I was like, what the fuck? Like you saw it. I think it's on my last like YouTube getting kicked out of the DNC YouTube. Like you probably at gunpoint. There's no fighting back. If they say, when someone says you got to leave this area and like move to a different area, do you know how many secrets are permanently space? We're fine for now in this. We're not fine for now. We're like literally like we're permanently done here, bro. That's so whack. This is what happened that morning. I interviewed the uncommitted delegates. Okay, these are Democratic Party operatives themselves, people that have fought against Republicans in their own states, people that have positions within the Democratic Party. These aren't like, you know, anarchists. These aren't like the protesters outside. These are people who work within the confines of the Democratic Party. These are Democratic Party delegates. That's why there wasn't so many people outside in the protest, because they're not letting everybody in. They're obviously not letting anyone in, as a matter of fact. They had a Palestinian American. They had multiple Palestinian Americans that had speeches that were pre-vetted and pre-scripted, as always, that would endorse Kamala Harris at the end of that speech, as a matter of fact. That was the You know, those are the conditions, right? And they had put forward these speakers, and the Democratic Party was not playing ball with them at all, which was kind of fucked up. Not even kind of fucked up. It's really fucked up because this is a very reasonable demand. It's a reasonable demand. It's a moral demand. It's a just demand. It's electorally positive for the Democrats to like show that they're a big tent that also features, you know, Palestinian voices as well. These are American voters, right? These are American Palestinian voters and their friends. These are Arab voters and Muslim voters in key states. I find it ridiculous that they would not, you know, they just wouldn't do anything about that, right? Like they wouldn't let that happen. The UAW was pressuring, donors were pressuring the Democratic Party. Okay, a lot of pressure was happening for on the last day to have to have a Palestinian American speak. They had fucking Border Patrol guys on. They had, you know, like anti-choice Republicans on. They had other Republicans on. They had a bunch of fucking Republicans on. They had an Israeli American family speak, whose son was being held hostage by Hamas as well, which is of course understandable. Like those are families that are suffering. Their voices also must be heard. That makes sense. But to do that and to then turn around and not have any Palestinian Americans, it obviously shows that there's a double standard. Now you have like UAW and other unions also applying pressure as well. And I think they should apply more pressure, as a matter of fact, regardless of the fact that like Joe Biden was very pro labor union and, you know, walked the picket line. Like it's great that he did that, but I think that there's no other way. There's no other way to get the Democratic Party to fucking meet these demands. Pressure from all vectors need to happen in order to get the Democratic to move on this issue, to get the Kamala Harris campaign to move on this issue. I said last night, the attitude from the Dems cannot be, or 2 nights ago, cannot be that these people are simply spoiling the fun. Their demands are moral, reasonable, and just. Forcing Israel to commit to a ceasefire through measures beyond tough talk will also be electorally beneficial to the Democratic Party. So it's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win, okay? It's a win-win-win. Everybody with eyes can understand it. Everybody with a fucking brain can see what's going on. Unless you're completely in a fucking bubble. Unless you're completely in a bubble, you look at the situation and you're like, why the fuck wouldn't these guys speak? What are you talking about? Do you think it was a space management issue, or was there a problem with you and your ideas? Because this sounds like a big and chaotic event. No, it was straight up about what I said and what I was doing there, okay? UAW posted this as well, which gave many others courage to also come out and speak. If we want the war in Gaza to end, we can't put our heads in the sand or ignore the voice of the Palestinian Americans in the Democratic Party. If we want peace, if we want a real democracy, if we want to win this election, the Democratic Party must allow a Palestinian American speaker to be heard from the DNC station tonight. This is like not, this is literally the lowest hanging fruit, okay? Like this is a gimme for the Democratic Party to even present themselves as though they are pro-Palestinian, as though they recognize the humanity of Palestinian Americans. Like that's it, right? That's it. That's all they are doing. That's all they're fucking doing at this point. That's all they're asking for. Families of the Israeli hostages joined the demand that Palestinians should not be barred from the DNC stage. Both groups demanding ceasefire and a deal to return the captives. Mehdi Hasan also then reported on other reporters being briefed that the DNC accepted the Dem state rep Ruva for Georgia, who is a Palestinian American Georgia state representative, who is, who had a speech that was ready to go. That they lied. The DNC lied and said basically, oh, it was actually the uncommitted movement that turned her down, which I think is fucking ridiculous because obviously, what do you mean it's the uncommitted movement? They are the ones who fucking put her forward. It's a lie being told, I assume, by DNC spinners now on the defensive. Uncommitted are the ones who pitched her, and there's still time for the DNC to put Ruva for Georgia on stage tonight for 2 minutes. If they have time and space for a former Republican congressman and for Israeli members of a hostage, they have time and space for an elected Palestinian Democratic lawmaker. Anything else is straight up racism and erasure. The DNC is strenuously denying that they put out any such false claims. So whichever Dem is saying this bullshit the report is about uncommitted isn't even speaking on behalf of the party, it seems. But the bigger question is, why didn't the DNC accept Rua for Georgia as a speaker tonight? To which I, of course, quote tweeted, why does the DNC have one speed? This is identical to how Israel does Hasbara Lamal. And I think literally right after I posted this tweet, like maybe 30 minutes after, is when I got booted. Rashida Tlaib also said, I know for a fact that the DNC did not act in good faith and continue to lie about the negotiations. They are exposing themselves. I ate the boot right after that tweet. Okay? And remember, they came in. It was less than half an hour. Yeah, it was very close to after this tweet. I don't know the exact timestamp. Here's the thing. I had a fucking New York Times interview that was being conducted at the time when they were like, yeah, you got to clear the space, which I thought was pretty crazy. Okay. It was like 25 minutes after that tweet, but I still had a New York Times interview that was coming. Ken Benzinger, and you know, we still did the New York Times interview, and then they made me clear out my desk. Now I know, because obviously there's like a shit ton of people involved in these decisions and like, you know, playing roles in this, but now I know that like there was, I had heard that there was like already a little bit of a difference in opinion with the Kamala Harris campaign, who I believe wanted me there, versus the DNC, which did not think it was a great idea. Okay, there was a little bit of friction, a little bit of tension. And then obviously, like after that, the boss call was the reason that I got exited in a polite manner. It was not like, fuck you, you're out of here, get the fuck out of here, you're done. Okay, it was more so like, hey, you can't be in here anymore. There's a really important person coming in here and we have to clear out the space. Except we're not really clearing out the space. We're only getting you out of this space, right? And when I asked, like, is there another place that I can go to? I have these interviews lined up. I have the Ilhan Omar interview. I have the AOC interview. I have the Sean Fain interview. Like, I set all this stuff up with the full knowledge that you guys gave me, that like with the confidence that you gave me that I have this space where I can do these private interviews, like conduct these private interviews. They said, no, you don't have any other place that we can put you to. Do you think you'll be invited back to the next DNC? Probably. I think so. Would you do the DNC coverage from the inside again if you knew in advance the uncommitted movement would not be allowed to speak? Yes, I would. What do you mean? Of course I would. And next time the DNC happens in 2028, I will still go. Like, I'll probably even have a better slot this time around as well. Also, they said AOC needed the space as their first excuse, not knowing you were the one interviewing her, which is crazy. Yeah, they lied about that. They were like, oh, AOC's coming into this space. I was like, no, she's not. I know she's not because I'm literally talking to her right now, and she's stuck behind a fucking motorcade. Yeah, that was also crazy. And lastly, they were like, oh yeah, we can put you in the meme room that doesn't have even like Wi-Fi. Not only did it not have Wi-Fi, but there was no Ethernet either. It wasn't just a space issue. And I know that they were like watching because they obviously stream sniped me because they forgot to take my fucking badge for the lower level suites. And then I brought it up and I said, oh, they forgot to take my badge. Maybe they're not kicking us out. Okay. Maybe they're not kicking us out fully because again, like my press credentials are still there. This is like a different level of access. Okay. And they literally right after I said, oh, well, they didn't take my, lower level press credential from me, which means like maybe it is a space issue, right? Like maybe it is actually a legitimate space issue and like we'll be able to recover from here on out. It turns out, no. No worries. Someone is definitely fucking watching the stream because I literally said, oh, they didn't even take our credentials away. And then just showed up. Someone is watching the fucking stream. But just have to watch what you say, I guess, or they'll boot you out for being butthurt. Yeah. No, it wasn't. So it wasn't just that tweet. Okay. That tweet was like the straw that broke the camel's back. but it was my advocacy for having a Palestinian speak at the DNC consistently. It was me wearing a Palestinian flag around my waist, which they consider to be a big no-no, apparently. And also, it was the fact that I talked to the uncommitted movement as well. Now, the reason why it was a little bit different for me, okay, the reason why it was a little bit different for me, if the DNC kicked out Hasan while he's being interviewed by the New York Times to 60,000 people, dumbasses, I have to take responsibility here. I was doing a hysterical Hasidic tunnel callback bit that necessitated burrowing into the actual United Center with dozens of Haredi tunneling experts. When accosted by the Secret Service, I kind of panicked and said Hasan was my boss. My bad. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. It is crazy that they did that.
Of like
right
literally only having Israeli victims and their family members be held into question while Palestinian and pro-Palestinian people are getting fucking beaten out. Okay, like they're literally the delegates themselves that dare bring up the Palestinian.
Yeah, it didn't happen right after this. That's a lie, by the way. That's not correct.
Casualties get fucking booed, they get humiliated, they get kicked aside. It is fucking ridiculous. Okay.
Oh no, man, why would they even invite you? They knew what you say and you were yourself for 4 days straight, but at that moment they decided to kick you out. Straw that broke the camel's back. Other people interviewed the uncommitted people as well, yes, but the difference is they were press. They didn't have like the fucking suite level access. Press doing it is different than a creator for Kamala doing it in front of 60,000 people and also in a fucking suite that they gave him. Okay? They see that as like a big fuck you. At least the DNC sees that as like a big fuck you. Do you understand? Like there's obviously a difference between like where I'm doing it and how I'm doing it versus like how other people are doing it. Don't you feel like what they did was worse? They cut off your ability to do your coverage while pretending you were still welcome, honestly? No, I mean, look, my point is this, okay? My point is this. I was never going to like moderate my views or change my perspective because of the unimaginable amount of access I got. And I did get an unimaginable amount of access, okay? It's true. I mean, think about it, dude. There are literally fucking professional journalists and press people and media outlets out there that are spending a shit ton of money that had to spend a shit ton of money to get that level of access that I was able to get. Okay. That's huge. So everything I was able to do within the DNC, within the confines of the DNC for the past 4 days, even with the like last day, fuck you, I don't care. I'm very happy about. Okay. I'm very happy about it because obviously, I still was able to do all of this shit and I took all of it I never took it for granted. You know what I mean? I was able to do all of this and I considered it to be a bonus, right? Because I would be covering the DNC regardless, even if I was there and I was streaming from the hotel room or if I was here in Los Angeles streaming from my house, I'd be doing that anyway. So the fact that I was able to do it inside and also get this like level of unprecedented level of access on top of that was an added benefit. Do you see what I'm saying? The way I look at it is like I'm happy for everything that I got because I never thought that I would get any of this shit anyway, which is precisely the reason why I think a lot of people were like, how the fuck did they let you in here? Like why are they doing this? And I wanted to do it justice, okay? I wanted to do it justice. I wanted to do the level of access that I got as much justice as possible. I wanted to show as many people as possible in my community that you know this is how it works. This is the background. Like this is what a convention is, right? Like I showed you every aspect of it, from the protests outside to the protests inside to the regular process. I interviewed politicians. I talked to them. Ultimately, I think I made the most of it. And I find it to be I found this to be a very, very fortunate situation. I was very lucky to be able to get all of this.